Saturday, February the 7th, 2026, number 4,971. It's called Koko Schnookums. Koko Schnookums had a name, and it was Koko Schnookums. He carried around 2 pillows, yes, he, upon which he couldn't rest his weary head, should he have had one. Koko was baking a strawberry pie, facing the proper direction. He'd drink a tightly wound muscle milk, just for a couple of tightly wound muscles. He'd open the refrigerator door, which was low to the ground, so he'd bend over, look around into the cool refrigerator, and pull out a beer. It was something cheap, this particular beer, like most of what was kept in the refrigerator that was low to the ground. Koko would belch around 4 to 5 times on average after drinking one of these cheap beers, and after that 5th belch, he'd likely be found stooped over with his 2 pillows at the refrigerator, scrounging around for another cheap beer. If he found one, he'd drink it. If not, he'd go back to the stove and do a bit of cooking, once again, his body facing just the right direction, toward the stove, where he'd stir a bit or turn over a few items frying in the pan or put some rice on. Then he'd come back to the cutting board, atop which were a slew of vegetables and next to which was a paring knife. And he'd go about slicing and dicing and peeling and once in a while julienning the veggies that he'd lain atop the cutting board to be at the ready. And then he'd either scoop things up and put them into a pot or pan, or he'd pick up the cutting board and slowly, using the paring knife with the board at just the right angle, scrape the slices, dices, or juliennes into a receptacle upon the stove. And eventually, he'd carry those pillows back over to the fridge and bend over just so in an attempt to find a 3rd beer in there. And in that effort, he'd most often succeed.